behaving in a similar manner. In both instances, the birds focus their attention on two pectoral spines that protrude from the fish's head. They also repeatedly dip the catfish in the water. When captured, small catfish will extend and lock their spines in place. Doing so obligates the predator to break off the prickly appendages before eating, or risk having the fish get stuck in its throat. It turns out, however, difficulty swallowing is only part of a predator's problem. When the locking mechanism of a spine is broken, skin is usually ripped away from the underlying glands, which in turn release copious amounts of poison. To avoid ingesting a deadly concoction, small catfish must be thoroughly rinsed before consumed. Over half of the 3,000 known species of catfish are poisonous. Fortunately for North American fishermen, venom glands decrease in size as a catfish grows. Specimens heavier than 6 pounds, for example, typically lack the glands. Apparently, the ability to poison predators has evolved to protect young fish. Indeed, there are credible reports of bass, egrets, and water snakes being mortally wounded after swallowing catfish. Yet, as shown in the video, some birds have apparently acquired handling techniques for neutralizing their prey's defenses. Which begs the question, do egrets and herons instinctively know how to handle small catfish, or do individuals acquire the skill with practice? Small catfish are not the only prey that wading birds must handle with care. Take for instance a white ibis trying to eat a southern toad. The toad was carried to the lake's edge, where the ibis dunked the limp body in the water. Dogs and cats that mistakenly eat toads either vomit their meal or die from ingesting the neurotoxin secreted by a toad's large parotid glands and warty skin. Among vertebrates that eat frogs, only a handful of reptiles, such as a hog-nosed snake, are immune to a toad's potent alkaloid secretions. So it is a mystery as to why a white ibis would try to swallow an adult toad. Perhaps by frequently dunking its prey, the hungry ibis is diluting a toad's nauseous venom to tolerable levels. Although the live toads will inflate their bodies to avoid being eaten, in this instance the lifeless frog appeared small enough for the ibis to handle. Yet the predator repeatedly failed to finish off its prey. Watch closely and you'll notice that the toad's protruding front legs prevent the ibis from swallowing, not unlike the extended spines of a small catfish. Unfortunately, the ibis flew across the lake before completing its meal, leaving me to wonder, are ibis immune to a toad's neurotoxins? Also, do the front legs of these amphibians, when attacked, automatically lock into an extended position?
Massive seabird die-off lines the Whittier beaches with carcasses. Some people reported that they were finding them every few feet. Thousands of dead common murres are washing up on the beaches of Whittier. An unprecedented die-off that has scientists wondering how many more dead birds will they find. Thousands remain uncounted throughout the Prince William Sound. Recently retired federal biologists doing beach surveys over the weekend estimated that there were more than 7,800 dead murres along a little over a mile of a beach. That's nearly 5 dead birds per meter. The scale of the die-off is unprecedented along the Sound, some of the long-time old-timers are saying. It just boggles the mind, said David. There's been reports of wolves who've only been feeding on the hearts of the murre because there's just so many of them, so it's like a delicacy for the wolf. The scale of the die-off is unprecedented along the Sound. It's just mind-boggling. Fish and Wildlife Service biologists made the grim discovery in Whittier and sent alert to colleagues Scientists don't know exactly the associated mirror strandings. The birds are dangerously underweight and emaciated. It's possible that the warmer ocean conditions have pushed prey fish deeper beyond the mirror's diving range of about 600 feet. So the mirrors, they forgot how to dive, they forgot how to locate their food. Or there's a disease or some other medical condition that's causing them to starve. Mutated radiated algae. So the birds are quite stressed. They're starving mirrors to the point of exhaustion and death. These birds are wicked skinny. No fat reserves. The mirrors being recovered this year is awful way to die, and they're dying in mass. The dead birds are getting the public's attention. A Fish and Wildlife Service seabird expert got 50 calls over the weekend for concerned people finding dead mirrors on the beaches. It's turning out to be something that does have the potential for population effects, she said. It's off the charts for what we typically see with these events. The recent discovery of the Prince William Sound die-off follows a highly unusual and sudden influx of disoriented starving mirrors getting stranded inland over the past few weeks.
Are American white pelicans too heavy to dive after prey? Probably, which is why they scoop fish out of the water while swimming. Netting fish may be safer, but how does a white pelican find enough food to sustain its large body? Adopting a leisurely pace is one way to conserve energy. Also, American white pelicans are extremely opportunistic, kleptoparasitic, and most interestingly, are known to coordinate their efforts when feeding. How often have you seen an American white pelican foraging by itself? In Sarasota, Florida, I videotaped 5 pelicans swimming together and repeatedly dipping their bills into the water. Periodically they stopped and formed a circle, presumably to entrap a school of fish that they proceeded to scoop out of the water. Are the birds intentionally cooperating with one another for the common good? Hey guys, there's a shallow inlet over here. Let's get together and corral a school of fish. Or are they simply responding to the same stimulus, and in the process coincidentally forming a circle as each bird pushes its way closer to the fish? When foraging together, it isn't clear if all participating pelicans equally benefit from the group effort. Probably not, but we do know that American white pelicans travel in family groups, which suggests that some selfish behavior is tolerated by other members in the clan. It is interesting to note that fishing together is not always productive. At Freeze-Out Lake in Montana, for example, we videotaped pelicans trying in vain to capture large carp that had gathered to spawn. Not once did we see a pelican catch a fish, yet the sight of a carp was enough to draw a group of pelicans together to fish cooperatively, even when the prey was obviously too large to entrap. We can only assume that, on average, group foraging is more productive than foraging alone. Also, as shown in Part 3 of this series, attraction to other foraging birds, even if it's another species, has its rewards.